So in the sense that there's a lot of positivity moving forward here, and going back on some of the subjects we talked on just before, going forward I think is also going to be a more eco-conscious and sustainable lifestyle and everything to businesses, tourism, all that. Do you think Seven Stones is almost ahead of the game in that sense because of the planet aspect that you mentioned? We mentioned in the first podcast.
I think I'm not necessarily wouldn't go as far as to say that we're ahead of the game with it. I think we have become more conscious of it than maybe other businesses in similar sectors and segments that we're involved with. We've become more conscious than maybe other people have done.
And I think it's we've always had these thoughts, and it's been processed over the last sort of couple of years, and what we've been talking about to other companies that we work with, other real estate companies or any other businesses. It's kind of like, it's same old. Now it's upon us, and in that sense we're ahead of the game. We knew that this day would come. We knew the changes would come, simply because there's no other option. And I think when you talk about the market and how that's going to drive the change, I think a lot of people see that they're living from paycheck to paycheck, and when that paycheck stops, their lives are in a mess, and they don't want to have those experiences. So they want to invest or embrace a lifestyle where they can have some kind of security. And in that, I think, the eco resorts where you have your own garden supplying as much as possible of the food. If you're not a vegetarian, you have a few chickens and then a couple of pigs running around, and you can supply a small community with that. So if this things happens again, and the chances are quite high that it will, you have something to fall back to. You have a community, you have a support, and that I think is going to drive the tourism.
I think that combined with the obvious push and drive towards digital economies, I think that combination of a digital future and this almost traditional let's live off the land kind of idea, I think there's going to be a very interesting middle ground between those two places, which I think is where we're heading towards and where our consciousness is going towards.
Going back to what you were mentioning about being the change and taking action on, you can't just be a real estate agent anymore. You have to do the things to push it forward, and projecting ourselves into the future and what things may or may not look like. What sort of steps or strategies has Seven Stones taken to accommodate that?
Good question.
Yeah, it is a good question.
I think we prepared for this for a long time, and it's kind of like it almost got a bit. We're ready, but it's never going to come, and the change won't happen, and suddenly it happened. So I think we've had these thoughts and these strategies in us to stand out in a different way. Provide the right values, provide the right, not just to our clients and customers and so on, but also the right values of what kind of investments is going to be good for the future, what kind of developments are going to be needed and wanted by the market, and so on. So I think we've prepared for this probably way back before we actually started Seven Stones. We already had these talks in other companies that we work together. So it's kind of like a bit of magic, I guess, that suddenly it appears upon us, and it's the things that we've talked about. The online, work from home, all this interaction that happens. Like, try to call me prior to COVID-19, and I actually answer the phone and try to get me on a Zoom meeting. It's like mission impossible. I just don't like it. And through this, I actually had to, and now I'm kind of enjoying it. I talk to clients, and I can have conversations on different things. I guess I just have to start talking to my kids too now. I haven't done that for a long time too.
Just mumble that in there.